Dr. Laurence, welcome to the Money Talks podcast.
Thank you, Ziad.
My pleasure to have you here with us. My pleasure to have you part of the FPC. A few questions for you. You operate a clinic focused on cutting edge technologies. If you could share a bit with us about the exciting innovations you see on the horizon and how investors can get in early to back and to profit from these companies, leading to advances in regenerative medicine.
Well, Ziad, I've been on the front row of something that's happening right now in medicine, which is unprecedented. Because as a surgeon, we work with tissue for patients and we try to reconstruct things, make things look better as a cosmetic surgeon. And what we realized just about a decade ago is that what was going on in that tissue that we were working with was a technology that pushes forward everything we've ever seen in medicine. And so for anyone that's interested in making money, for anyone who's interested in their own personal health, and I can't imagine an entrepreneur who is on his game would want to potentially extend his longevity by a decade, two. There are a lot of smart people that think longer than that. So it's just a pleasure to be here and talking with people who really want to make a difference in this world and who want to make money.
As an insider, what are the biggest blind spots or misconceptions most patients have about the healthcare system? How can they better advocate for themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question because there's no time that's been more important that you need to advocate for yourself. I don't think there's anyone on the street that doesn't realize that's true. They're seeing our healthcare system fall apart before their eyes, right? You probably know the journalist O'Reilly.
Yes,
You know,
of
New
course.
York guy.
Absolutely.
Of course you do. I heard him on an interview recently, and he said there were three things that people need in their life. He said a doctor, a lawyer, and a financial expert.
I love it.
Listen, I will tell you, I will disagree with the last one, or at least say that the doctor and the lawyer are more important. But here was the thing that blew me away. The person that was interviewing Bill O'Reilly was somebody who just had a book deal in the last few years that was advance, $10 million. You know what that interviewer said? A doctor. So, Ziad, do you know what our reputation, how far it has fallen? That somebody who's worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars would think that they don't need the cell phone or be able to contact a doctor?
Mind-boggling.
They don't trust us anymore. And they also sometimes are unaware of the technology that we really have. And so what we've been doing is we've been pushing protocols for the man, right?
Yeah.
And pushing protocol for the cabal,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
We don't take care of patients anymore. And so
They're
anyway,
just numbers.
yeah, that's right. And so my advice to people who want the inside scoop, what everybody has to know is, first of all, don't go to a doctor or a mid-level provider who hasn't been in practice for 5 years. They don't learn anything when they come out of school.
Absolutely.
In fact, they have to unlearn what they learned in school. I would say that. And so if you just really, really want to have good care, two things: somebody with experience, and I would even say this because I'm a team guy. You're a team guy too, right?
Absolutely.
It's all about team.
Absolutely.
And I would find somebody that's not just a lone doctor. I want a good nurse. I want a good nurse practitioner on the team. I want a physician on the team. Sometimes the MA is the smartest person, the medical assistant. It's the smartest person in the room, right? So you want to be taken care of by a team with experience. And then here's the big one. Here's the big one. If the doctor takes insurance, run, right? Because insurance teaches us a code of conduct that isn't for the patient, and that's starting to become obvious to anybody. And the only ones that act like it's not true, the smart people, sometimes don't want to go. There's some cognizant resonance, right? It's hard for them to make money over here but not participate in that same system over which they're a CEO. The CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield is not going to go to a doctor that doesn't participate with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Absolutely.
He'll take the crappy medicine because it's where his bread is buttered, right? So that's the inside scoop. The inside scoop is, it is, Bill O'Reilly is right. You need to have a doctor in your back pocket. It will save your life. It will extend years or if not decades especially with the technology that we're now able to start talking about.
Wisdom at its best. I cannot agree with you more. And it's not just doctor, it's just even in business, everywhere. Teams win.
Teams
It's all
win.
about a team. Nobody can do everything by himself. Nobody. And no matter how qualified the doctor is.
That's right.
You definitely have extensive medical expertise, but also joined the FPC as a resident expert. And you are. If you could tell us a bit about what drew you to become part of the FPC and how it connects to your focus on providing specialized healthcare.
If anyone ever deluded themselves into thinking that they did not need to participate, now is the time to recognize that just can't be true. You can't be complacent. And what drew me to the FPC is the fact that this council, led by our quarterback or our coach, Ziad, can't accept complacency. We're warriors, right? We're not going to settle for the way things have been.
Spot on.
They're going to change. And if it doesn't change for everybody, it's going to change for us, and it's going to change for our friends. It's going to change for our family. There's a lot of times people are locked out of the mansion, right? But we want to pull as many people in. That's one of the differences between us small government, independent thinkers who are. We're not just trying to save ourselves.
No.
We're trying to save everybody else too.
And lift them up.
That's right. That's right. And Ziad, I don't know what you would say. You represent every asset class that there is, and I don't know what you would think is the most important asset class, at least as when it comes to freedom. What do you think it is? What's our most important asset class?
The most important asset class, it's really, I don't look at it as asset class. I look at it as people. People form the asset classes, and you rely on them. Nobody can be an expert, an island by himself. Whether you're talking about oil and gas, private equity, medicine, blockchain, Web3, etc. There are people who always know more than what you do. You just have to find them. You just have to surround yourself with them. You just have to understand their attitude, and you're untouchable. You can talk about any subject, and this is what I'm trying to do at the FPC. It's not about asset classes. There are a lot of important asset classes, but basically, who are the people who run these asset classes, who manage these asset classes, and who provide real value? It's all about people. People who can execute. People with a track record. That's all that matters. I go to a doctor, I want to see his track record. When I go to a businessman, a real estate developer, I want to see his track record. I want to see his team. I want to see how he works under pressure, how much skin in the game he has. These are all factors, and I describe it a lot in my different books and videos and lectures and podcasts and webcasts, etc. So that's the short answer.
The thing that makes our country different, Ziad, is I think every country in the world is going through some of the same challenges and problems. And what I've appreciated as I've participated with all the people that are involved with their expertise in their asset classes is kind of understanding that freedom, there's not just one group of people or asset class that really gives us the freedom that we really need to have to go forward. I've heard how important transportation is. It's really made me think too. We are different people when we travel. I've never been to Wall Street, never been to New York City, and I'm here to talk about like-minded people. And the only reason I'm here is because I could jump on a private plane and come here, right?
Love it.
And without transportation, your freedom is shackled, right?
Totally.
And I've heard others talk about how important the food supply is. Completely true too. This is not a either or. This is a both and kind of situation, right? And then we've talked about in the FPC, we've talked about how important it is to have freedom of speech.
Yep.
If we can't talk, if we're shut up, how are we going to make a difference? How are we going to take on the challenges that we have? But then I would add, and all the other asset classes to me sort of support these three or four. And healthcare to me though is the holy grail. And the reason healthcare is the holy grail is because without healthcare, You don't have a
You have
voice.
nothing.
You
Without
can't, you
the
can't
good
move your
friend,
lips
you
without
have
healthcare,
nothing.
right? And the thing is that the number of layers that there is with healthcare, it's not just you having health, having access to doctors in a system that can take care of you. It's not getting robbed when you're not needing those services, right? How much money gets taken out of our checks for a wasteful system, right? And then for the entrepreneurs like you and I, we're all trying to keep the best team behind us we can. And if you can provide them something of value, good health care, then you're more likely to keep that team. And so for those entrepreneurs that again want to add a decade or longer to their life, the new medicine is going to do that. And one of the classes that I just am really thrilled to talk to the other members about is is what's called the Regenerative Medicine Advanced Therapies. Have you ever even heard of that?
Yes, I did
Have
hear
you?
of that.
So this was part of Congress in 2016 deciding that we wanted moonshots. And doesn't everybody on the street think there's a cure to cancer, right? We all kind of suspect that, well, would they really want? Would they really let it come to light? Would they? Well, I don't know. But at least the government said, we want moonshots. We want cures, right? And so the government mandated its own agencies to do what? Allow these companies, these innovative companies, to make these moonshot investments, approve them, right? Approve them. So would it be a surprise to you, Ziad, that after 7 years, every single company that has been accepted on this advanced pathway has not had a single approval? So we're sitting here, watch our government, on the one hand saying we want moonshots, on the other hand, having these viable technologies that have had tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars put in without a single approval.
Look, I mean, I'm not surprised. Government is totally incapable of doing anything. They're here to raise money and to stay in power. 90% of their time, they spend it on raising money, staying in power. They don't even read the bills. They don't even read anything. Their staffers do. Their staffers are more informed than them. I'm saying that because I had my son works for a senator and a congressman on Capitol Hill as an intern when he started his career before joining Wall Street. I had him do that. He told me, Dad, it's unbelievable. This is live. He did it there for 3 months. I'm not talking from theory. He told me it's unbelievable how uninformed they are, how incapable they are, how hungry for power they are, no term limits. Look, I don't want to go over a thing because this is not a podcast on that, but to confirm what you've been saying. So I come back to the point. It's all about people.
That's right.
Whether you're a doctor, whether you're advisor, whether you're government representative, etc. We at the Financial Policy Council are very careful on vetting and picking the right people, because then it will poison the whole well.
That's
Whether
right.
in your company, in your clinic, in your enterprise, whatever it is. I cannot emphasize this more and more. What are the 2 key ideas you impart to help physicians provide more personalized, high-value care, Dr. Laurence?
Well, physicians do ask me that all the time. I've been sort of the guy that walked away from insurance companies 20 years ago, and I felt like this is freedom. I get to actually take care of my patient. So there's 2 things I say. It's two different sides of the same coin. One of them is walk away from insurance. If you're a physician, you really want to take good care of patients, walk away from insurance. And the other one is to double down on the part of our past that is something not worth throwing away. And Ziad, you've seen it. You've seen it. When have doctors and when has the industry been more coercive with forcing people? In New York, you guys can't serve a big gulp, okay? Right? The government has said what you can do, what you can't do, and they don't even a lot of times even make the right recommendation. And so for us to double down on the Hippocratic Oath, we are non-coercive. We give informed consent. And informed consent actually has implied that there's actually communication between the doctor and his team and the patient. And how often do patients say, I had no idea what he said. I had no idea what she was talking about. And they get kind of pulled through the system. And so as we double down on the Hippocratic Oath and what we're all about, we really can save medicine. And so that's what I would advise.
You're brilliant, honest to God. I'd like to have you as my doctor if I want to have a doctor.
I'm yours.
Dr. Laurence, how can entrepreneurs and companies drive change through private sector innovation? If you could be a bit more specific.
So I think everybody agrees. The guy on the street knows that healthcare is a mess, right?
Total mess.
I was, as I got on the plane to come to New York, one of the pilots said, "My son-in-law is a ICU doctor, and he's told me for 20 years, don't come to the hospital if you want to be healthy.
If you want to die, go
yeah, that's right. That's right. So we all know it's a mess, and there's no across all kinds of philosophies. Everybody agrees with that. And we also see AI coming. We see machine learning. We see technology, wearable devices at home. We all realize that's going to change medicine substantially. But is it going to make it go in the right direction? If the same puppeteers are behind the AI, you just have more of it's a more efficient disaster, right? So anyway, so I really have kind of acknowledged that the game changers that are out there have to do with these new technologies that are coming, and it's regenerative medicine. And just to explain what regenerative medicine is this idea that instead of using these small molecules that come from petrochemicals, which is what most drugs are, we're playing in a complete different ball game now. And just so a non-medical person can understand it, if the old way is the size of a grain of sand, the new way, the new mechanism to reach into the body and take care of inflammation or healing isn't the size of sand anymore. It's the size of Mount Everest. That in physical dimensions is the difference in technology. But here's what's bigger and different. A grain of sand isn't smart, okay? It's a dumb little speck, the old way, compared to the new way, which is something that proportionally is the size of Mount Everest and the complexity. It's smart. It knows what to do. It upregulates, it downregulates, it changes, it grows, it knows what to do. And so this is right now where a lot of brave pharmaceutical companies are pushing the boundaries. And you know what's not happening? Is the government is stepping on it and not letting it move forward. So as soon as these technologies start to hit, and I'm going to be talking to companies about, hey, stay regulatory compliant. We have to keep ourselves safe. We have to do the right thing, but we also have to insist that the government allows us to advance medicine. If that's in medical tourism, if that has to be somewhere else, if that can be done here, our own regulatory folks, I'm convinced, right now we're just drawing a simple blood draw on somebody, taking out the growth components, injecting it into a knee, and allowing people to avoid a knee replacement and surgery. And I think in a minute they would take that away from us. We have to really keep the pressure on the government to let us push technology in the right direction.
So informative, Dr. Laurence. Thank you so much for your time. Great to have you on board of the FPC, and hope to see you soon.
Pleasure.